Good morning. We're back in the garage again, workshop. That was just a quick shot of the onions we showed you on the last video, sowing them. So it's been a week and they're already coming through. They're all coming through quite nicely. Some are always a little bit slower. They're still on heat. I'm going to wait until I see enough germinated before I turn the heat off. It's quite warm in here in the workshop with the heat on as well that we have. So they're doing really, really well. But while we're talking about onions, seed sowing, we thought I'd try and get go over a few things, a few issues that I see people commenting on so many times. And the main one that I see is, why are my plants so leggy? Now, the major reason for that is your lighting. Now, lighting is a subject all of its own, and I think one day we'll have to go through that and try and shed some light on it as such. But I see so many people that are growing under lights on heat. So I'm not talking about people that are sowing in a greenhouse or sowing in a garden. I'm talking about people that are trying to get a jump on spring as such by sowing early, by sowing on heat mats, by sowing under lights in the basement, wherever. Why? Why are you sowing your seed so early? There is no need. The only seed that really should be sown, even by now, are these guys. So tomatoes. Peppers. My peppers aren't out here. My peppers are indoors. They are the only two that really need that early start. The onions need an early start again, because obviously we're growing a lot. We're growing different varieties. So my onions, my celery, and my leeks. Other than that, there is no need to start any vegetable, or certainly flowers, annuals, this early. You start them early, then you put them under poor lighting. They get drawn, they get leggy, and then I say, oh, okay, well, if you put some oscillating fans on them, that'll help strengthen them up. We have no fans in here. We have no fans in here at all. We have good lighting. But it's a timing thing as well. It's ridiculous. I see people sowing annuals now under lights. It's another, where are we to? February, March, April, May. It's at least 12, maybe even 14 weeks before we can plant anything out in the ground. Here, certainly in Ontario. And I'm sure a lot of these people that are growing on heat mats and lights are the same. Don't start so early. There is absolutely no need for it. You're also going to have other problems. You're going to encourage mold because you're in an enclosed environment in your basement and your propagating bench. Okay, so you've got your fungus. But also you have your seedlings that are now becoming tall, leggy, and drawn. What are you going to do with them? You have nowhere to put them. You can't plant them. You certainly can't plant them out. You can't put them out in your greenhouse because you may not have a greenhouse. And even if you do, it's too cold. You can't harden them off. It's too cold. Most annuals, most vegetables need about 6 weeks from germinating to planting out. If you reckon on 6 to 8 weeks, maximum is all they need. Then you're planting out short, stocky plant material. It goes outside after a period of hardening off and it gets away. You're not dealing with these tall, leggy, gangly things that blow around, snap off. There is no rush to be sowing seed. Other than, as I say, peppers, tomatoes, maybe your leeks, your onions. But again, you still need those facilities. You still need somewhere. Once these now have all germinated, I'm lucky I have somewhere I can move them to. They will come out of here. They will go onto some Danish trolleys. They'll get hardened off a little bit with some lighting. Then I will move them out into the tunnel where they'll sit until they're planted out. So the lighting. Again, I see so many people growing under shop lights. Yeah, if that works for you. But again, if you grow under shop lights, you're going to force those seedlings to become leggy. So don't start them so early. I have these fancy, supposedly Barina grow lights. They're not grow lights. And I've come to that conclusion and I've already figured that out. These Barinas, they are not grow lights. They're a shop light with a colored LED bulb filament, whatever you want to call it. They're actually, I find they're horrible, and we mentioned that in the last video. The shop light, I have a shop light in there with them as well now. They'll go out there for 10 days or so, and then as soon as I can get them out into the greenhouse in a coat frame, that's where they'll go. I want them at that point to slow up. I don't want them putting on big growth. I want them to put on a root system. The sweet peas have shown you, if you cool things off and they'll take a certain amount of cool weather, they will stop growing and they will put a root system down. The root system is more important than what you see above the ground. And that goes for any plant material. What doesn't matter what you're growing. The bigger the root system, the better establishment, the better that plant is going to get away. So the underlying message I'm trying to get across to people is stop sowing seed too early. February is too early, other than a couple of things I've mentioned. March, to be honest, even March is almost too early. If you're going to sow March, wait till the end of March. End of March, end of April, end of May. That gives you about 8 weeks, which is perfect timing. Absolutely perfect. It gives you a chance to get them germinated, get them growing a little bit, take them off the heat, move them somewhere else, harden them up slowly, plant them out. End of May. You know, usually around about anything after about the 20th, 25th of May generally is pretty safe to be planting stuff out. So February, too early. March, most of March, too early. Unless you're going to be doing things, perennials, some longer term stuff. I'm trying to think what other long term other than perennials there would be. I don't think there is much. And certainly, here's one more for you. Certainly do not waste your valuable space under grow lights and heat sowing biennials in the spring, because you're wasting effort, you're wasting space, you're wasting hydro. They will not flower in the same year as sowing. Foxgloves, sweet williams, wallflowers. And I'm talking colder temperatures. And if you're doing that stuff under lights, on heat mats, on any form of heat, you're wasting your valuable growing space. Do them at the correct time of the year, which is probably end of June, beginning of July, and they can be sown directly outside. Hollyhocks is another one. You ain't going to get it to flower this year if you sow it now. So bear that in mind as well. That releases space then for more annuals and more vegetables that will produce something this year. So that's, sorry if it's a bit of a lecture, but I'm just trying to get this message across to people. And I'm finding it really difficult. I guess people are going to social media, they're going to YouTube, they're going to Facebook, and they're seeing all these people sowing their seed. First of all, when you see somebody sowing their seed, check out where they're from. Check out where they're filming that to. And once you've done that, then figure out, well, is that going to work for me in my climate? Because we've all got different climates. And we've all got different facilities. That's another thing as well. I'm lucky. We have everything we need here, short of a heated greenhouse, which will come. But most people don't have that. So look at all the circumstances you have, then figure out, right, what's the very, very best time of the year for me, forget what everybody else is doing, for me to sow my seed, whether it's vegetable or whether it's flowers. So I hope that straightens a few things out. If it doesn't, send us a message and I'll see if I can straighten it out a bit more for you. Every morning when the weather's decent, well, the temperatures are decent, this is not the first job, but one of the early jobs. Once it's warmed up, once everything starts to drip in here, that's a sign that I've got to get the fleece off. This is only the second time in near on 8 weeks now that I've been able to actually take the covers off. I'm only going to do the central bed today. I'm not going to do the beds down either side because it's not going to get that warm. But I want to try and get rid of some of the moisture that's starting to build up on the poly on the inside of these raised frames. So I'll uncover it and then we'll put a couple of fans going. But also we can show you the little bit of progress that the plants are making under here. Now bear in mind, there's no heat in this tunnel. No heat at all. The only warmth that is generated is I do have some little fairy lights on both sides and some grow lights on the other side. And it does the trick. It just stops them getting really, really cold. But temperatures hovering around about 0 to +1, even when it's hitting -30 outside. So it does the job. Not trying to grow anything, I'm just trying to keep things ticking over. So let's lift some of these poly covers up and we'll show you what we got underneath. So there's nothing fancy at all about what we have here. Some sticks just keeps it up. So we have Lewis here at this, take some glasses off. Lewis here at this top end. And again, yeah, everything looks really good. They are actually starting to move a little bit now. They could be outside if I wanted on the floor. And then next to that we have some narcissus. They've actually got flower buds. So you can see the flower buds forming. And again, there's no heat. This one's all full of hepatica. Everything's pretty dormant. One or two early. One's just throwing up a little tiny flower bud there. Opening up plenty early enough. Little damp in here. But then you would expect that. I haven't been covered up for so many weeks. I have hardy orchids in here. And then I can show you. There's the hardy orchids. They are looking really nice. So they're going to be really, really good. So just a little bit of mold, not worried. They'll soon dry off once we get these covers off more regularly. Mostly hepatica. Ooh, look at those. There's one opening up there. Just straight novelist, but I don't care. This time of year, it's just nice to see a bit of flower. This one, hellebore. Now they're germinating. They're a little late. They should have started at Christmas. So cold. They are a little bit later than I would expect normally. Grown from seed. Seed was sown on the 24th of the 6th. So that's typical for hellebore, that you would sow the seed as soon as you can get your hands on it. This is our own collected seed actually. So I would have collected this back in June, end of June, and sown it straight away. Normally I would start seeing germination at around about Christmas, but these are a little late. But now they're looking really nice. They've come through certainly in the last month since I uncovered it last. So they're doing really well. Otherwise everything else is looking fine in here. This side's are slightly warmer. It's facing the sun. We have foxgloves. These were sown last late summer, and I would have liked to have got them potted up, but didn't, just with moving and everything, didn't have time. So there's foxgloves, there's forget-me-nots in here. I will get them split and potted up. Whether they flower this year or not, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, a lot of odds and ends. Nerines. It shows that this has not frozen in here, because if these had frozen, these are tender. If it had frozen, these would have gone. They'd be brown. They're not. I have some hardy orchids. These are just starting to come through. So there's a couple of hardy orchids there. Hardy if they're planted out into the ground, not in this situation. More bulbs, more mixed crocus, snowdrops, and narcissus, all grown from seed. Most are not going to flower this year. Next year I hope they will. And then moving on up through cyclamen. You saw me sow these on our YouTube channel, and there's no sign of them yet, and I wouldn't expect it. We need a bit more of a temperature rise to see anything on those. More hellebores. They're coming through nicely. And This, I don't believe this. Hesperus. Sweet Rocket. Sown the 1st of the 10th. No heat. Virtually no light because this has been covered up.
10th of the 1st.
10th of the 1st. And I'll pull this tray just so that you can see. Germination. It's all about timing and temperature. So they're doing really well. A couple of Narcissus cyclaminus. Actually, they will be for sale at one of the shows I'm doing. Sweet peas. You've seen them in the past. They are actually growing in here. I wish they wouldn't. But they're looking really good. Kept them fairly dry. Whether they've got any roots, let's have a look. Yep, there's the first sign of roots coming out the bottom of the pot. And bearing in mind, this is basically staying around about the freezing. Do not need heat for these things at all. And then up through here, we have some odds and ends. Some little hardy primula. Again, we've got a bit of mold in here, but I'm not worried about that. There's a little bit of colour there showing. But the next one is the biggest surprise. You can see the germination. And it is, I'll wipe the label off. For those that don't know, hollyhocks. And they were sown 10th of the 1st, 26. Again, no heat, virtually no light, around about 0 degrees, and they're germinating. So, lesson learnt there. Certainly don't need any heat. So that's a little catch up in here. And then, quickly underneath the bench, if Julie steps back without falling over, got a lot of odds and sods under here. Some hellebore seedlings here. Now you have to bear in mind that we've had minus 32s, we've had minus 20 for consecutive days. I'll pull one of these out. They don't look great, but I bet if you look at the roots, you can see active root system. And again, this is just keeping them ticking over. That's all I want. I don't want any growth. I want them ticking over. That is not freezing under there, and that's got 4 layers of this white fleece on. So again, you don't necessarily need to heat things to keep things ticking over and slowly moving. So until next week, and next week we have a new little project for everybody. We're going to be I'm going to show you how to make your own Hypertufa alpine trough. So that'll be next week's video. So until then, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.